As we look forward to the 2020 season, Rangers Network is celebrating the 45th anniversary of Smithson Valley High School football by taking a look at monumental plays throughout Ranger history that form the building blocks that shape our foundation for success and weave the tradition that is Ranger football. Head coach Larry Hill has reunited the coaches and players to relive the magical moments one more time. Get your guns up for the year 1994.
Smithson Valley football has won nearly 240 games in the past 23 years, an average of 10-plus games a year. They played in 3 state championship games, 6 state semifinal games, 9 quarterfinal games. They've sent a number of players to play at the next level. And in essence, the program has become synonymous with among the better programs in the state of Texas. But like most significant programs, there was a beginning. There was a launching point. Today's episode is going to examine that pivotal game, and with that game, the signature play that is still talked about 26 years later. Today, we go back to October 7th, 1994. Smithson Valley versus Mannion. Those familiar with the rivalry, Mannion was the original school, the one and only high school in Comal ISD. And Smithson Valley was formed in 1976, but the 2 schools didn't play until 1980. In the next 12 meetings, Smithson Valley only won 2 of those games. The season before this game is played in 1993, Mannion had advanced 2 or 3 rounds in the playoffs and had a great many of those players back for the 94 squad for this particular game. Smithson Valley, on the other hand, had a new coach in 1993. Coach Larry Hill was hired, and quite frankly, in 1993, his first year, he had no better luck against Mannion than anyone else. The Rangers lost that game 39-14 and were 1-9 on the season. So 1994 is the second year of a new regime, a new era. But most people on the outside of the program felt like it would be more of the same. Didn't know exactly who would win the district, as the graphic says, but it's clear that Smithson Valley is going to finish last. So today we're joined by 3 members of both the 93 team that experienced the 1-9 the previous season, and also the 94 team that will make history and have so many breakthroughs and will result in the first ever playoff trip. Joining us today, we have Bobby Falkenberg, Brandon Parrott, and David Mannion. And guys, we appreciate y'all being here today.
Thanks for having us, Coach. It's fun
boys,
to be
when I say boys, now how old are you guys now? Bobby, how old are you?
No, that's not fair.
Don't answer, Bobby. Don't answer.
I'm 43. Brandon's older than me, though, I guarantee you.
That's just not possible, I don't think. I know it's been a while since we played this game, but it doesn't seem that long ago. So I must have taken the job when I was 12 years old then. So if y'all are that old. But let's start with Bobby Falkenberg. He's a stalwart offensive tackle for that 94 team, this one we're going to target today. Bobby, what was the feeling going into the 94 season? Was there a sense that something was about to change?
I think so. I know I was very excited about it. I felt like we did the first ever boot camp in the off season before. That was a whole different level. That was something none of us were used to. And, we had that rebuilding year, as they like to call it, where we went 1-9. But I remember back, and I know David probably does too. I don't think Brandon was there yet. But I remember this young guy coming in and telling us when we were sophomores, there were 7 words, and they were said like this: "We're going to get out of our walk," and we did. We took a year to do it, but you definitely took us out of our walk. We were running from the classroom down to the field, and I think going into that 94 season, I felt different. I felt like things had finally come together for a group of guys that had been on a losing team for years. So.
Well, Brandon Parrott's with us today. Brandon was a 2-way player for us, excelled both at wide receiver and at defensive back. And Brandon, you just heard Bobby talking about the offseason, and And in the preseason now, the 5 games leading up to the Canyon game, that was different.
It was completely different. Coming out of that 1-9 season the year before, where I think of those 9 losses, only one of those losses was by more than a touchdown. Everything else was 6 points or less. So we had been right there knocking on the door. We just couldn't get the job done. And so coming into the senior year, it was what's it going to take to get us over that hump and be able to finish the job. As we got that momentum going, for me, Coach, it's thinking back to that Burbank win, the 2-0. Burbank was also having a resurgence that year and was 2-0. And there was an Express News article about their resurgence. Well, little did they know that we were going to rattle off 8. And so it was walking out of Alamo Stadium with that win that I felt like really gave us that momentum, and we were able to go on that run.
I think you're right. Confidence matters, and we began to get it. We were 5-0 in our non-district games, and now we're going to start game 6, and district play starts. Today with us, we also have David Mannion. David was the quarterback for the Rangers in 1994. David, let's get your viewpoint leading up to game 6 against Canyon. What was the mood of the team like approaching this game?
Yeah, I think we were all really confident up to that. You know, we had gotten 5-0 and never done that before, so we were super excited. But at the same time, I think pretty much we were really nervous too, because we were about to play a team that was, you know, we felt was just as good or better than us. So going into that game, we were all just really nervous, but at the same time, very confident. And I know, you know, I speak for everybody else, we did not want to lose that game. So we wanted to continue to build, you know, on our winning season. So we were going to do everything it took to get that done.
Well, I think you're right. We were a little bit nervous, but we were ready. And, you know, there were some comments coming from the other side that we were 5-0, but had not won a significant game yet. And there's some merit to that. You know, we hadn't won a district game yet. We hadn't won a big game. And we hadn't played anybody yet that probably was as talented and had as good a ball club as they did. So, well, to lay the groundwork for this drive, this last-minute drive, and, of course, the play that will highlight it, let's briefly discuss what has happened in the game up to this point, and we'll pick it up. As expected, it was a hard-fought game from the beginning. The lead changed hands several times, but in the second half, things began to go like most people probably thought they would. Canyon began to pull away. They had a 2-touchdown lead going into the fourth quarter, but our guys wouldn't quit, and we go down and score with about 4 or 5 minutes to go to pull to within 26-20. We're down by 6 points, but Canyon has the ball, and a couple of first downs will enable them to run out the clock. And they appear to be on their way to doing just that. They get a few first downs. They're down in our territory, and now the Ranger defense stiffens, and it's 4th down. And we're either going to stop them and get a chance to have a last-minute drive, or they're going to convert the first down, kneel down a couple of times, and, you know, the game will be over. So there's hope. But it's going to come down to this play. So let's go to the tape. Let's let this play run. You can see they're on our end of the field. We're on defense here. There's the line to make. You can see it's difficult to tell from where the chains are, but they're going to have to make it to that line to get the first down. I'm going to let the play run a couple of times. We get a hit. He's surging. He's moving. We're kind of getting him right there. And, you know, there's a little bit of hesitancy here. Did he make the first down? Did he not? But we kind of ducked under, and as we watch it again, Brandon, take us on now. Tell me who we've got here. We're going to blitz off the top. Who is that right there? Is that Glenn Bain?
Glenn Bain, yes, our place kicker, Glenn Bain, coming off the end.
Well, I think Glenn would tell you he's a better linebacker than a place kicker, but a linebacker and running back by trade, and he's going to hit him first, but he's going to bounce off, but he slows him up. Then who do we have coming in? There, Glenn hits him there.
Lance Eicholt's coming in there, and I believe that's a sophomore, Greg Markham. Coming in there to get in on that play.
They hit him next. He spins out, and then one more spin, and then that's Dustin Carnes coming in from the other side. And you can see we stop him just short of the first down. And so, guys, we've got a chance. We've got
Coach,
a chance.
I don't know that we would have had that chance had they not tried to throw the ball into the end zone twice on us and stop the clock for us. So,
Well, we appreciate that, don't we?
Yes, we did appreciate that.
All right, minute 17 on the clock, as you can see on the screen. Bobby, when we take the field, I mean, what are you thinking?
We're not going to lose these guys. That's what I was thinking. I think that's kind of the feeling that we all had, was that it had been too many years of it, and we had a minute 17 left on the clock. One of the things we did, in addition to running gassers at the end of every practice, was 2-minute offense. We had that down. I mean, I know Brandon and David know that we would run 2-minute offense drills all the time. And I think that and the endurance we had, we were confident. I was confident going onto the field. We wanted to take that win for sure.
Well, David, now minute 17, one timeout's all we had. You're obviously very aware most of these plays are going to be passes. It's going to be a lot on your shoulders. What was your mindset as you took the field?
Yeah, I was just whatever the play was called. I mean, whatever play came in, that's what we were ready to do. I mean, like Bobby said, we were confident in that 2-minute drill, and it just felt like, practice pretty much. Just keep doing what we were doing. So,
well, let's go. Now the drive starts a little inauspiciously. We throw an incomplete twice, and then the second down here, we're going to throw again, and we throw incomplete again. But on this second incompletion, we get a break. Okay? And you'll see it as we go here. They roughed the passer, so it's a 15-yard penalty on Canyon. We get going. We didn't actually do anything, but we got a jump start with 15-yard penalty, and now there's a minute 3 on the clock. So we've got to do something, though. We've got to get a spark. And Brandon, take us through this next play. With a minute and 3, we finally get that spark with a big throw and catch over the middle.
Well, David had an incredible night, and the line was doing an incredible job for him. We actually had hit this crossing route earlier in the game, and so we came back to it here, and just a chance to keep the chains moving.
Let's take a look. Here you are at the bottom of the screen. You're going to go down a little bit deeper than the screen and take it toward the middle. David gets great pass protection. There's Bobby right there. There's our judge right there.
There is zero penetration in that line.
Great pass protection. David's got, of course, a real live arm. Gets the ball just over the outside line. And there's Brandon coming down the middle. And, a big throw and catch. And now we got a big hunk. We got a big chunk there. Now we're going without a huddle. Got to get ball boy Allen Hill off the field there. Going without a huddle. David, almost take a sack. Can't take a sack. Who we throwing to here?
My brother Philip.
Philip with the catch on the sideline. Did a couple of things. We, of course, moved the ball closer. Obviously, we didn't take a sack. And then Philip, made us some yards, and we got out of bounds to stop the clock. So, but now we need a big chunk to get us within striking distance. So there's going to be something significant about a couple of things show up here with 39 seconds. Now we can huddle. We just got out of bounds. We can huddle up. You can see the Rangers breaking the huddle there. Brandon is coming down to the bottom of the screen. Once again, we get great pass protection again. You can see David's got all kind of time. Throws a strike down the left sideline. Brandon catches the ball just inside the 20 there on the 18-yard line. Doesn't get out of bounds, so that's significant. But let's go back and look at that play. And, Bobby, tell me a little bit about what's happening on the Canyon side.
Well, I think by this point they were getting pretty tired. I think, like we mentioned earlier, we had endurance. We may not have been the biggest. We may not have always been the fastest. But if one thing, we had endurance. That was always stressed. And so I think they were getting tired. We were amped up. We were running on adrenaline. And I think it was just kind of at this point in time, it was an attrition. And we were just pushing through.
Well, you can see your man with the arrow on him, he's not even rushing. He's had enough. Big throw by David. Good catch. But now we got to go without a huddle again. Again, we go sprint out to the right. Phillip makes a great catch on the sideline. Good throw by David, but he's out of bounds. And so the play doesn't stand. So now we're down to 17 seconds. Okay. No timeouts to go. We can't afford to take a sack. We'll never get another playoff. Of course, a field goal won't do it. So we pretty much got to throw the ball in the end zone or certainly beyond the sticks. So, Bobby, it's time to win. Did you have any sense of what's about to occur?
Well, I want to say, looking back, it's hard to remember exactly how we felt other than just let's get the job done and we can't lose this game. But, we had all been playing together for so long, and I can say this, I had complete confidence in the backfield and our receivers. I always felt like if I did my job and I gave them time and I opened up holes, David was going to throw strikes, Brandon, Phillip, those guys, they were going to catch them, and they did. And so I just kind of felt, I think probably more than anything, that just excitement and the hope that we were about to change history.
Well, the call goes in, Twins right, 71 stop and go. The play had worked earlier in the game for a big play. David, when that play came in, what were your thoughts?
I didn't think we had a big enough field to throw that. I got a little nervous that I'd throw it too far and he wouldn't catch it. So I kind of chunked it a little bit, just threw it and it ended up being, the way to go. Because I was really nervous about that pass, trying to throw it to Brandon deep like that, and I was scared he wouldn't catch it, if I threw it too far. So I was nervous about the throw, and I let it go, and it ended up going into the right spot.
Well, you thought right. You did the right thing. So let's take a look at it. Let's let it run through. Not by design. Throw that thing over in the right corner. Come back to that catch. Ball's in the end zone. And Smithson Valley just did something they hadn't done, well, maybe ever. We're going to go back and look at it again. I just wanted to kind of let it run through so we can gain a sense of it here. Okay, our inside receiver, that's Brad Treesh. He's going to run straight down the field, and their safety, who has a circle around him, that's going to occupy him. So, Brandon, you've got a one-on-one opportunity up there. A lot of plays don't go exactly by design, but what does this play look like?
Well, we had already gotten him on this earlier, so and I had a lot of space the first time that we ran it. This time, when he's right up on me and he doesn't bite on the stop fake, I really just have to roll out of it and try beating him upfield. And
right.
as I get upfield, I realize that David's put the ball in the air, and I'm going to have to come back to it. Not the way that we planned on it. I love to tell David all the time that he underthrew it.
Yeah. Well, he did underthrow it, but now, David, you're drifting to the right here a little bit. How come? Why are you moving on the move here? Got a little pressure, I guess.
I'm just nervous, I guess. I'm just not sure.
I'll defend David. I think we had a backup lineman in there, actually.
We did. That's Lance Eicholtz in there,
yes.
pass protector for you. Hadn't done it all year. Big catch. Works out well for whatever reason. Here's a ground level view. Look at that. People coming out of the stands, coming on the field. Let's look at it one more time and see if we can get a pause. Just a tremendous catch just inside, and then the place goes crazy. Bobby, what were you thinking on this? You're blocking, but then when did it first dawn on you what happened?
Well, when you're on the line and you're slapping some defensive guy and trying to keep him off your, the pretty boys in the back, give them time to do their job. You might hear a roar, and then when everybody gets out of your way, you realize, oh, we just did something good. We scored. So that's kind of what happened here. And I think because we had somebody, who played defense playing offense, it changed up our dynamic on the O-line a little bit. And I remember just kind of moving around, just waiting to catch somebody trying to shoot that gap. And luckily nobody did, and David was able to get the pass off. So
David invented a play there. You always hear the old back shoulder fade. You hear that on TV right now. David was just way out ahead of it. Okay, he was way ahead of his time. But, hey, there's 11 seconds left, and if I'm looking at that scoreboard right, it's 26-26. We got to make an extra point if we're going to win this thing. Bobby, how confident were you in Glenn Bain that was going to make this kick?
You know, it's funny. I was extremely confident. I played flag football with Glenn Bain. We played together all the way up, and he was never a place kicker. And then all of a sudden, he becomes a place kicker, and he did really well. And so it was always just get up to the line, and then when the snap is made, lean down and grab the other guy's foot next to you and hang on. And Glenn usually put him through the uprights. So I was pretty confident.
David, Brandon, what was your confidence level in this kick?
I had none. It was 50-50 for me. I remember, watching Glenn make some pretty bad kicks in practice and stuff. So I was just like, please, I was praying on the sideline.
Well, let's go to it. I'll know this. He wasn't the world's greatest place kicker, but he made every kick that mattered, including this one right here.
Yeah.
You got it done.
Bam.
That's it.
Bam. Still gives me chills, however many years it's been. We're still ahead. We're ahead for the first time, but there's still a little bit of time. We've made a miracle. Maybe they got one in them too. So, of course, our kickoff teams out there, we're going to go with a little squib kick. We kick this thing down the middle and just trying to play it safe. We get a big hit right here, take him down. And, now there's just, it's just time for one more play. Now, Brandon, you play defense too. What are we thinking here?
Keep everything in front of us.
Keep it in front of you.
Nothing gets behind you. And
we're down to one play. That's it. Not much stadium security back in 1994.
Go crazy, folks. Go crazy.
There were about 5,000 people there, but I've talked to 100,000 who claim they were there that night.
Well, and the hardest hit of the night happened right there when Brad Parrott tackled me onto the field.
That's right.
Right as I was trying to get up.
Yeah. That might have hurt them. That might have hurt that New Braunfels writer to have to put that headline up there.
Absolutely.
But,
I think so.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. After the game, I remember, of course, we were so excited in the locker room. It was a significant win. Not only gets us 1-0 in district for the first time, and who knows when, if ever, and, puts us in the conversation for a playoff hunt, and for the first time ever, perhaps. And I remember nobody ever wanted to leave. How long did we stay? We must have stayed at the stadium 2 hours, and then we finally get on bus to head home. It takes about an hour and a half to get home because it rained about 4 inches. Y'all remember that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Coach, you couldn't see it there on the video, but the Canyon side of the stands were about half full because they thought they had the game wrapped up and that storm was coming in. And so a bunch of their people were like, hey, we got this. We're out of here. But that Ranger side, there wasn't
in there.
Yeah.
Well, the storm did come in. And, now we're 6-0 and win the next week to go 7-0. And then we stumble a bit, lose to a couple in a row, 2 in a row. And now it's down to game 10 and it sets up a winner-take-all game in game 10 against New Braunfels. And, for Smithson Valley to even be in that kind of a game, to be playing for something significant week 10, was a big deal. But, New Braunfels had been an even bigger nuisance to Smithson Valley than Canyon. I think we mentioned earlier that Canyon was 10-2 against Smithson Valley prior to this game. Well, New Braunfels and Smithson Valley had played 6 times, and New Braunfels had won all 6, and most of the games in that series were not even close. So, Bobby, I'll ask you, I think if we had lost that New Braunfels game and finished 7-3 and just one game out of the playoffs, it would have been hailed as a great turnaround season, but that probably wasn't what you guys were thinking heading into the final game.
No, sir. We wanted the first gold ball. We wanted it all. And we fought through. I mean, a lot of us were playing injured. I was playing on a torn, we thought it was stretched, found out after the season it was a torn ACL, and had, I don't remember feeling any pain, even though there was a lot, because I just didn't want to let either Canyon or New Braunfels beat us that year. And I think we were all just fighting really hard for that gold ball and make a change to start something new for Smithson Valley.
Well, we certainly did. We'll let a few plays run here. It comes down to the end. Another defensive struggle, 7-7 going into the fourth quarter. There's another big throw and catch. Chris Matthews this time with the catch. And just like the Canyon game comes down to a kick. And, Glenn Bain made every kick that counted. And he hammers this one. I mean, he just hammers it. And, we're up 10-7 with just a few minutes to go. Boy, look at Ranger Stadium there. That's natural grass, no field house over there. It's down to one play. And stadium security, as you're going to see, is about like it was over at Canyon. We've got several thousand people on the sideline here, but they got one play. They've got to go 87 yards in one play. And you can see our coaches, that young head coach there, he's kind of wound up on the sideline. He's kind of moving everybody back. Brandon, again, keep it all in front of you.
Absolutely. Keep it all in front of us and rally to the ball. Man, we were nervous right here. It just felt like, don't let this slip away. And we got it done.
Yep.
Look at that storm.
Look at that. Look at that. Good times. Good times.
Yes, sir.
I can still remember where we all were, just right here. And I don't think the New Braunfels crowd was real happy about it. But for Smithson Valley, it was history. And it still is history, and as we all bring you all back on at once now, what does that mean? 26 years later, Bobby, you're a husband, a father, a successful judge, have had a great career, but you've had a lot of great memories. But where does this rank?
Top 5, easily. Being married to my high school sweetheart who was at that game and watched the whole season, having kids with her, growing old together and going to law school and becoming a judge, those are all great things. But, the memories you make when you're with a group of guys when you're young, and especially when you make history, it's hard to describe to somebody who hasn't done it, but it's top 5 for me for sure.
David, obviously had some big throws and, talked about for a long, long time. And how special is it to know you're part of something that was that big and is still talked about in revered tones all these years later? How neat is that?
Yeah, that's very special, and it just makes you proud, and you just feel lucky that we're part of Smithson Valley's history like that. Because I know in this day and age, probably the three of us wouldn't even be playing right now. Got all that talent over there.
I bet you would. But you guys, the guys now, they probably don't know your names. They probably don't, but they know the names of the guys who knew your names, if that makes sense. You started something. You guys and your teammates, y'all started something, and that meant something to the teams that came behind you. And then the success they achieved meant something to the group that came behind them. And then you fast forward through the years, and it had a beginning. And Brandon, can you remember it all like yesterday? I mean, what are your memories?
Absolutely, Coach. I was the new guy to the group. I moved in spring of our sophomore year, and then went that 1-9 season. But there was a real negativity of Ranger football not being able to be successful. And I didn't know why. I hadn't been there long enough to understand our struggles. And this was the first time where we got some success. And once the momentum got going, I mean, now the expectations for these kids is that they will never lose. They come in having success at the middle school level, watching all the high school teams ahead of them have success. And there's just such an expectation of success. Coach, we had to do it off of faith, things that we hadn't seen and that hadn't been done, but we were coached really, really well. And it allowed us to just go into the game and do what we were coached to do. And you want to talk about, what it means down the road. I have no doubt about it that I'm godfather to David's first daughter because of that moment that happened over there at Canyon. On that night, there was a connection that we will carry for the rest of our lives. And we've been in each other's weddings. All three of us, have been in each other's weddings and godparents to our kids. And it's something that It's really special. It's a bond that'll never be broken.
Well, it won't be. And you're right. Playing off of faith. You know what they say faith is? Faith is belief without evidence. And, our players today, there's evidence that they can be successful.
Right.
You guys.
I got to add one thing.
Yes, sir.
Brandon Parrott may say he was one of the new guys, but he was always part of our team. So don't call yourself the new guy, because you were instrumental in getting us where we got.
That's right.
That was a big 2 years.
October 7th, 1994, the foundation for the next 26 years for Smithson Valley football. And gentlemen, boys, you're still boys to me. I thank you for joining us today and helping us relive those special moments and that special season. And Ranger fans, we thank you for joining us and going down memory lane with us. And we'll hope to see you next time. Thanks again for being here.